Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Let's Talk Arsenal series, our twice weekly show usually, but we're doing a lot more of these throughout the summer transfer window. And today is a special day because it is the day in which Arsenal will find out their fate for the Premier League season next year. Or next season, definitely still this year, and where and who Arsenal will be playing their games against who. Obviously, we've seen some new teams join us in the Premier League this season. Some, it's been the first time in a very long time. Brentford, of course, is an interesting side that we're going to be coming up against this season. Norwich return, as do Watford. And so a lot of familiar faces. Daniel Farke, for instance, is also coming back. Watford have got plenty of players and could even see Eddie Nketiah join them next season if the rumours are to be believed. So lots of interesting fixtures to see and do. But of course, we did about 45 minutes ago do our transfer morning show, which we do every single day at 8 a.m. to give you guys all the latest transfer news. I didn't do a Q&A in that show because I said I was going to add it on to today's show and talk about fixtures, talk about your questions, get your thoughts and feelings in the chat box about lots of Arsenal stuff as we lead up to the 9 a.m. reveal, which is in 14 minutes time now. So we've got plenty of time to answer some of your questions and get your thoughts and theories about the league, about what we're going to be facing. But also, if you want to throw in some questions about transfers, and of course, we're going to be talking about that too. So good morning. I hope you guys are all well in the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. Samuel Poston says, Liverpool in game week 3 for the third season in a row. It does make you think, doesn't it, that this is meant to be a completely random situation. It's supposed to be random. We're told that it's random. But the more that you kind of look at it and the more that we experience it, you start to see some patterns. You start to see things which surely cannot be random. And maybe the amount of times that we play Liverpool in the first 3 games of the season is one of those. Ian Morgan says, hi, Tom. Any idea how the TV will cover the matches? As previously non-pandemic years, similar, but we've paid per view or blanket coverage. 21st of July seems to be total relax, but I suppose that can change, of course. And we are kind of expecting possibly some change. We are expecting fans to be back in grounds pretty much as soon as possible. And if that happens, then what I've seen and what I've heard is that the old ways will return, in which there'll be 3 p.m. kickoffs that are not televised, because the reason they do that is because they want to encourage people to go watch their local teams across the country. Of course, if you're abroad, you can watch whatever you like. They're also stepping up. What's the word I'm looking for? They're stepping up kind of the way in which they're trying anyway to stop online streaming and stop illegal streaming and piracy. That's something they're really working towards trying to stop. So it's going to become very difficult for people in the UK to both legally and illegally watch all of the Arsenal games. If you're abroad, you're very fortunate because you get to see them all, absolutely no questions asked. But yeah, supposedly they are going to be returning to that, and they are going to be investing in technology to try and stop streams from showing the games. I'm just quickly close this door. Bear with me 1 second. You know when you have that thing where every single house around where you live is doing like some sort of renovation work, especially during a pandemic? That's what I have right now. And so I have to stay in this room sweating right now with all the windows closed, all the doors closed. It's not pleasant. That's what it is. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Was a little bit more. Morning, Wilson. Good to have you in here, son. Hope you're well too, mate. Sam says, when do you think stadiums will be full again? I'm only a Red member and I want to try and get back to the Emirates ASAP. Don't we all, Sam? Of course. I think that in terms of full stadia, should the vaccine program that is currently going on in the UK be rolled out more successfully, and obviously we're seeing to the point now where you would imagine by the 19th of July, all adults, as in all 18 and over, should have had at least their first jab. I had mine yesterday. Had my vaccine yesterday, so I feel okay, actually. I mean, this arm, I can't really raise it beyond here. Is that a sign things going wrong? But yeah, no, I feel fine in regards to that. And next one's in September. But I mean, when you think about the season starting, it may be a case of them gradually kind of rolling up the amount of fans they allow in grounds. So we'll have to wait and see in regards to how they introduce more fans into stadiums, but I can imagine that we'll be getting up to full capacity hopefully by next year. That would be kind of a complete guess prediction, but they'll gradually start rolling it out. We're seeing the test events at like Euro 2020. I'm going to one of the Euro 2020 games in 10 days' time on the 26th. So one of the round of 16 games. So I'll let you know how it is, what goes on, how the process works. And yeah, it should be an interesting one. Paul Geyer says it's always rigged across Europe. How do you end up with the Milan derby, El Clasico, Old Firm, and Man United, Manchester derby on the same day? I mean, I don't know is the honest answer, Paul. I don't know how we end up with it like that all the time. It's just the way that it goes. If it is rigged, then I mean, we've seen Leicester win the league, Liverpool win the league. It just because the fixtures forward certain days, and it stop any certain teams from doing anything. You got to play everyone at the end of the day. So fingers crossed it doesn't change too much. We are about 10 minutes away now from the reveal of the fixtures that are going to be coming out in about 9 minutes. Roman says, pain in the muscles is fine. Probably you slept on the arm that you received the shot on. Yes, I think I probably did. So I says, Tom, get the vaccine. Arsenal is contagious. Deary me. I mean, if it is contagious, I don't know how, because why anything would convince you to support this club is ridiculous. Let's scroll up a little bit more. Chris P reckons we're going to go into another lockdown. Deary me. Marcus Brown says, morning, Tom. Getting off to a good start will be a key moving forwards. Get some momentum going from the get-go. If Arsenal can get a couple of decent games to start off with and then can roll into some of the bigger ties. But we saw it last season. We had West Ham, I think, was it second? Who did we have first? I can't remember. Someone will be able to tell us in the chat box. But then we played Liverpool in the third game, and that just kind of halted all of the hope that we possibly could have had. But last season was intriguing. Fulham, wasn't it? We won away against Fulham. We won 3-0, and Willian was the best player in the world. And then we went into the next game, and we won again, but it was a little bit more cagey. And then we came up against Liverpool, who, I remember doing the Raw Reaction show where we talked about the Liverpool game, and I was like, well, we seem to be improved. We seem to be like we're staying in the game a lot more. We're up against a big team that usually just blow us away at Anfield, and we stayed in the game a hell of a lot longer. So you would hope anyway that we've now progressed to a point where we aren't going to be seeing the dull performances that we saw at the start of last season. But who knows at this stage? James Nazru says, to go on a decent run, we need a decent transfer window. Needless to say, I'm apprehensive. Dave says, potentially, we could have a completely new lineup if we are going to sign 4 to 5 players. No idea where we could finish. And that's why it's almost impossible, isn't it, right now to predict where Arsenal will finish, because we don't know what kind of transfer window Arsenal are going to have, and that's ultimately going to have the biggest impact on how Arsenal play this next season. Neptune says, hope, no faith in Arteta. No faith at all. I mean, we've got not much choice, so just you got to keep the faith while it's there. Paul Guy says, it's not rigged for football reasons. It's done for television and to maximise viewership. Oh, yes, you make complete sense. Let's scroll up a little bit more. Yeah, J.K. Jar says, odds on getting Liverpool in the first 4 games. I mean, yeah, very, very likely. We'll see how it goes. We've now got 7 minutes until it's revealed. I am doing I'm on the Sky Sports page. If you guys know any better kind of pages for the live updates of where I can get it, I'm assuming they'll put it on Arsenal's website as well. Soon we'll be able to refresh it at 9 o'clock, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I assume the clubs have actually already received them and it's just publicly put out today, but you never know, you might get leaks. Fala says, Tom, staying in a game doesn't matter. What matters is the result. You're right, Fala, 100%. However, you are much better placed to get the result you want as long as you're not losing 4-0 by half time. So it's about that steady progress and seeing how we do. And obviously we won more games away against top 6 sides last season than in any other season. It was that first kind of half season that really wrecked where we finished. And I mean, if you look at the form table and how much we improved in the second half of the season, it's still really irritating to not go far in the Europa League. And any other manager anywhere else would probably have gone. But if we can just replicate what we did in that second half of the season across a full season, which is feasible, then we can end up in a much, much better position in the league. But we can't afford to drop and lose the games that we did at the start of last season. We just cannot afford to do that. Vignesh says, hi, Tom. Will there be a tactical breakdown on James Maddison? Hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm waiting for a contact of mine to send me a video today, so we should be able to get that. I should say the Chris Wheatley interview is probably going to be delayed till tomorrow. Chris received his vaccine yesterday, so he's not feeling too great. But hopefully we can get it done for you guys tomorrow, so that should be out then. It won't be like live, as in there will be a live premiere of it, but it'll be like a pre-recorded thing. So I'll be letting you know when it does go up. Iron Cub says, hope we don't have another Gabrielle situation where it takes them a month to announce it. It's killed the hype for me. Ben Miller says, easy January. We could get Basuma and not worry about the African Cup of Nations. It's a good point. I mean, we don't even know if Basuma would be involved with Mali because he hasn't played with Mali for a long time. But we'll have to have a look at the fixtures in January. But there is always the chance that the AFCON doesn't even go ahead because they've postponed the draw for it, I believe. So it might not even happen. So there's always that, but we will make sure that we have a look at that. Manu Clerk says, in a sense, the transfer window is a relief for Tom because he gets a few months off from having to defend his opinion on Arteta. No, well, I don't have an opinion on Arteta to defend anymore. Like I said, he should have gone. He should have gone after the Villarreal game. Any other coach in the world at any other club after that kind of season is not kept around. So I don't have to defend an opinion about it anymore. It's just next season is just it's an interest for me. It's going to be intriguing to see how it changes and how it happens. But I mean, from day one, we're going to be expecting results. And if we're suddenly 10 games in, 5 losses, then that's not sustainable. That's not you need to change things. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. What? Pard says, Tom, Google a young Modric. If you look at the black and white pictures, it looks like it could be you. I mean, Modric isn't the best looking guy in the world, so I'm not going to do that for my self-esteem, thanks, Pard. But I appreciate that. I might do that in my own time. Let's scroll up a little bit more. Vignesh says, Lokonga is robbed for not getting nominated for the Golden Boy Award. Yeah, there's a lot of players that weren't nominated for the Golden Boy Award. So there's there's lots of clubs and players that have been absolutely screwed over by the top 100. I mean, I saw a lot of European experts I follow absolutely going in on that top 100 nomination list. So we will see. I don't think we'll see any changes, but we'll see how it gets whittled down. And you never know, maybe William Saliba will suddenly get higher into that list if he gets more minutes at the start of next season. We will have to wait and see. Fala Sana says, 300 people watching and just 30 likes. That's embarrassing. Come on, people. Hit the like button on the video. We are about 2 minutes away from those Premier League fixtures being revealed, and then we'll go through them. Looking at the Christmas fixture list, looking at how the African Cup of Nations may be affected, seeing who we get in the opening few games, and of course, looking at who we get in the run-in towards the end of the season, which is more than a year. Well, it's just under a year away to the end of next season. It feels a long, long way away. But I remember sitting at the start of last season thinking how long a season is, and it flies by. And all of a sudden you're halfway through and then you're 20, 30 games in, you've got a few games left, you're worrying about the permutations of top 4, top 6, or if you can get into 8th position in the table. So it is going to absolutely fly by. What did I make about Matt Spiro's tweet about MG and WS? I mean, let's have a look at Matt Spiro. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Let's see if I can have a look at Matt Spiro's tweet. What has Matt Spiro said? Scrolling down, something about his book. Here we go. David Luiz has started talks with Marseille, who also wants Saliba and Guendouzi, preferably on loan. Arsenal would rather sell. Saliba is keen to continue with Nice, which I am not. I mean, it comes from L'Equipe, but I mean, it's a French-based outlet. It says L'Equipe report Arsenal would rather sell both Guendouzi and Saliba to get a return on there. I mean, you're not going to see. I can't see that being too credible. Arsenal selling William Saliba, no. I just can't see that happening. Who is going to pay the money that it's going to take to convince Arsenal to sell? Tan says, do you think Arteta will be here by Christmas? Tan, I have absolutely no idea, mate. It depends on the transfer window and how we change and improve our squads. Lincoln says, imagine the banter in the England camp after the fixtures are announced. Yeah, it must be interesting looking at and seeing when they're going to be playing each other. Let's refresh. We're a minute away from the new Premier League fixtures supposedly being announced at 9 a.m. Knowing then they'll delay it for half an hour and I'll be sitting here waiting. Let's scroll a little bit more. Reliably reported, Saliba is not going, says Matt Thornton. I mean, I've seen that from people that I trust, saying that very much the intention is for him to be integrated into the first team next season. The whole thing about him being keen to return to Nice, it's just a destabilisation tactic, and that's all I see it as. He, for me, is not going to be going anywhere. Reese Harvey says Arsenal's first 6 Premier League fixtures are going to be Brentford, Chelsea, Man City, Norwich, Burnley and Spurs. I mean, let's see if that's actually the case. We are refreshing. Let's have a look. It is 9 a.m., which means the fixtures should be out and hopefully on Arsenal's website as well. And maybe Arsenal have even tweeted out the fixtures at the same time. They have tweeted, so let's see if they have or if they're just trolling us. Here we go. Oh, 2021 fixtures released. Here we go. Let's go on to the Sky Sports. Let's go on to the Arsenal website and have a look and see what is what's going on to here so you guys can see it. Here we go. Arsenal's fixtures for the Premier League season. It's loading. It's loading. Okay. Oh, we were right. You must have got it just ahead of time. Here we go. Let's have a look. So we open away to Brentford on the first game of the season. That is interestingly tough. Fantastic. Okay. We then play Chelsea. We then play Man City. We play Burnley and Norwich. Wow, that is a tough start to the season. Of course, we're also in the Carabao Cup in the second round because we're not in European competition, so we go in a round early this time. But it'd be good to get the youngsters going out there for a bit. So Brentford, Chelsea, Man City. Then Burnley as September starts after that international break between. So we play Brentford, Chelsea and City. Then we have the international break and that's when the transfer window closes. We then play Burnley, Norwich and then Spurs on 25th of September. Very early. So by the 25th of September, we would have played 3 of the big 6 teams. You could look at that as a positive, say getting them out the way early. Hopefully getting some results against them. We then have a decent run of games against Brighton, Crystal Palace and Aston Villa as we go into the end of October with the Carabao Cup games in there. We then go away to Leicester at the 30th of October to finish off that run. Watford is then followed at home on November 6th. The day before my birthday is always a big game. The 21st of November. 20th of November, we play Liverpool away from home. We're now going to start getting into the winter period. Newcastle, Man United on the 30th. So we play Liverpool, Newcastle and Man United within 10 days of one another. That's quite tricky. Everton, Southampton starts the December period. Then going 3 days after Southampton, we have West Ham. Then we have Leeds. Then we have Norwich and Wolves. Now, that's an interesting period, actually, when you look across the Christmas period here. So if you go from Everton on December 4th, get a good result there. You then play Southampton, West Ham, Leeds, and Norwich, and then Wolves. That could be a really good run at the start of the Christmas period to boost us up and get a few wins together. Then we play Man City, so you get both Man City games out the way by New Year's Day. So that's quite an interesting factor. After Man City, we then have obviously the FA Cup games. Then we play Spurs, Man City, then Spurs. Again, another couple of tough games. Then we go into Burnley, Wolves, Chelsea, Brentford again. Again, we're getting all those big teams. The end of the season is going to be very interesting. Liverpool on February 26th. And then we have Watford, Leicester, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Southampton, Man United, West Ham, Leeds, Newcastle and Everton. Now, Arsenal's end of season run is very, very positive. It does depend where we situate ourselves prior to that. But if we have a look at Arsenal's last 10 games, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the last 11 games, in Arsenal's last 11 games of the season, we play Leicester and we play Man United. All the other teams are outside the top 6. And all of them, you would say, are winnable games for Arsenal. Hopefully, you think we would beat Watford. Depends how we are situated against Aston Villa, Palace away, Brighton at home, Southampton away. That Man United is at home as well, and obviously you'd hope that the fans are back in the ground by then. West Ham away, Leeds at home, Newcastle away, and Everton at home in the last game of the season could be a massive game for top 4, top 6, wherever we seem to finish against them. That is a big, big end of season running. That's really good. I'm actually quite pleased about that. The only situation that Arsenal find themselves in is the start of the season is very, very tricky. So we need to get our transfers done as soon as feasibly possible. Let's just scroll back to the start of the season, go all the way back to the start and see how we're going to kick things off again. We start with an away trip to Brentford in their brand new stadium, of course. and then we play Chelsea at home and City away. Those 3 games are really incredibly tough games to try and do. Very, very interesting. If you think that we could lose 3 or 4 of the opening games, it could put us in a really tricky situation. You've got Spurs, City, and Chelsea. Then you've got Brentford, Burnley, and Norwich. You'd think we'd win against those 3, 2 of the 3 promoted sides, and Burnley away from home is a tough game for us, and we haven't been able to do too well since going to Turf Moor. But if you can get a result at home to Chelsea, if you can somehow, which I wouldn't expect us to, go away to Man City and get something, and then we've got Spurs. If you can get wins against Chelsea and Spurs, either of those 2 games, it could set you up for a good start to the season. It's about getting those big games out the way. It is obviously going to be very, very difficult. And we're going to see how Arsenal get on. But what do you think about how we are opening in the league? Let's see what your guys' thoughts and feelings are in the chat box. Killian says we should be looking at it from when the African Cup of Nations tournament are going to be. Obviously, we don't know if that tournament's going to go ahead. But let's have a look at January and see what the January fixtures are. Man City, I mean, let's just Google quickly. When is the 2022 African Cup of Nations dates? Let's have a look at when this is meant to run. January 9th to February 6th. Now, of course, players would join up with their teams prior to that. You'd think they'd be able to play the Man City game on January 1st. But we play Man City, we play Spurs, which is going to be without Thomas Partey, Burnley, and Wolves. So you got 4 games there. Man City maybe not, but you've definitely got Spurs. You've got the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup if we get that far into the semi-final. Both legs of the semi-final of the Carabao Cup could be there. Burnley and Wolves in that period of when the African Cup of Nations is supposed to be. However, there is always the chance that the tournament could be postponed. So we don't know that as of yet. But that middle January period, it's kinder than I thought. It's annoying that the North London derby is there. I mean, how many players in the Spurs squads would be going to the competition? You've got the likes of Serge Aurier, but I don't think they've got too many African players actually in the team. I mean, yeah, we've got just Serge Aurier in the team. Yeah, that is it. That is it. So unless they sign any AFCON players, then they're going to have pretty much a full-strength team for that. Whereas Arsenal could be without Thomas Partey, Nicolas Pepe, Mohamed El Neni, if he was signing Andre Onana, if we signed Yves Bissouma. It is a little bit worrying for that period that we could lose a lot of games. It depends on who Arsenal obviously sign. Manu Clerk says, is it just me? Are all of the fixtures surrounding terrifying? I'm scared of the Southampton game. Will it be our new, if only we picked up the points against Wolves type of fixture? And we did obviously talk about that a hell of a lot last season. That was really frustrating. I wish there was kind of an image that was released of all of Arsenal's fixtures. I'll see if I can find one on Twitter. But I mean, I'm okay with it. I really, really am okay with that fixture list. I think that is completely fine for the end of the season. The end of the season run's great for Arsenal. It's just the early season that's really, really tough. But Arsenal have an opportunity to get some really big games out of the way and to have a really strong end to the season. So I says, hope the starting tough fixtures make Arsenal pumped to buy high-profile players ASAP. Shrishan, we've talked about what Matt Spiro Matt Spiro tweeted. I don't agree with it. It's what the keeper's saying. I'm not buying into that. Emmanuel Ojo, good to have in the chat. Ojo, he says, nice to see our November dip starts at August this year up the Arsenal. Always the positive man is our Ojo. Vignesh says, is it not similar to the 2018-19 fixtures, City and Chelsea in the first 3 games and an easy fixture at the later part of the season? Yeah, and I mean, we finished that in where were we in 20? Was it 6th? I think 5th or 6th. We finished in that table 5th, maybe. I think that was the Emery season where we missed out on top 4 by a point. So who knows? Neptune says, okay, till we pick up only 6 points out of the 6 opening games. It's very true. Obviously, it does depend on how we perform in those games. It's purely speculative right now. We could have a very, very different team to what we currently have. Based upon that. So that's the fixture lists revealed to all of us. If you would like to leave a comment and have those thoughts and feelings about the fixture list, then please do. We will try and upload and try and retweet an image of the whole fixture list over on Twitter at the Gooner Talk TV. So make sure you tune in for that. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you'll get a tactical breakdown on James Maddison coming out a little bit later on today. And otherwise, other than that, I'll be back tomorrow morning for the 8 a.m. transfer update. As always, every single day, 8 a.m. UK time, transfer updates. That's where it is. That's where it's happening. I'll see you guys very, very soon. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. And as always, up the Arsenal.